Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to No BS Job Search Advice Radio. It's a show where I spend about 15 minutes speaking with you about some element of job search because I believe job hunting doesn't have to be hard, difficult, painful, or take so long. It's just the skills needed to find work are different than the skills needed to do the work. And most of you can do the jobs, it's just you don't know how to package yourself or market yourself properly. So I take some time on a Monday morning to help you with that. Now, today's show is brought to you by Audible, audibletrial.com/the Big Game Hunter. Yes, it's an affiliate link, but by using that link, you'll be able to get a free download of an audiobook along with your free trial to Audible. So again, that's audibletrial.com/the Big Game Hunter. My second sponsor is consultingassignments.com, which is a site where you can find and fill consulting assignments, full-time consulting positions, temp to perm, and contract to hire opportunities anywhere in the world, completely free. Posting a job or a resume is free. Searching jobs and resumes is free. The ability to contact one another is free. The only thing the site charges for is if you want to feature a job or a resume, it is, get this, $10 for 30 days. And if you're going to feature more than one position, that price goes down from there. So again, consultingassignments.com. So, burnout. It's a sensitive topic for people because most people don't want to admit they're frustrated, which is normally one of the big signals of burnout. And they'd rather just force the issue, work even harder, hit heads against the wall. And I'm not a real big believer in that. I do believe you can push, but sometimes, well, there are other tactics that come into play. So I thought I would do a show about contending with burnout, avoiding burnout, and doing things that will support you with your job search. Because one thing I do know is for most of you, you want to start your next job now. It's hard to go through the effort of finding work. So here's a couple of thoughts I have about contending with burnout. The first thing is to recognize that it's a pretty normal thing to get frustrated and to feel incompetent or just burned out. Let's just use that word for it when you're not having success. And the thing is to start off by just acknowledging it. It's a pretty normal result of having all those frustrating conversations that get nowhere. Those interviews that accomplish nothing or seem to accomplish nothing. Why wouldn't you feel burned out just hitting your head against that wall? And if you're listening to this and not watching it as a Google Hangout or on YouTube, you'll discover that what I did at that moment was just move my head and bob my head like I'm hitting my head against the wall. So it's a pretty normal response. So what do? Number one is start asking for feedback after interviews to understand whether you did well and they just chose someone else, or whether there were things in your background that didn't fit or you didn't package properly. If they misread certain attributes in your background, it's unlikely that you're going to be persuading them to change their mind. But I do have that experience, but you didn't tell them when it counted. So just start getting feedback, because this is going to be useful to start learning that you don't interview as well as you think you do, and you got to work on that. So number one is getting feedback. And number two is asking for advice. You have friends, maybe a mentor or a coach. Maybe you need a mentor or a coach to help you with job hunting. Start looking for advice from professionals, from peers, from people who know about job search to help you improve your skills in that area. If you're not getting interviews, I assure you that it's either your LinkedIn profile and or your resume that are the problem. If you're getting interviews and you're not getting invited back for second interviews, you don't do phone interviews as well as you think you do. And if you're getting in-person interviews and not invited back to seconds, I think you get where I'm going. You don't do interviewing as well as you should, and you need coaching. How many more of these things do you want to go on before you learn by trial and error? I don't think you want to do it at all. But that's me. Maybe you just want to hit your head against the wall some more. So get some advice. Change things. Change how you're doing them. Uh, some people have such routines in their day, they just need to do something different. One of the things I remember from years ago with a young woman I mentored many years ago, she was working way too hard at being a recruiter. And she would commute from southern New Jersey 2 hours each way, leave it at 6, commute 2 hours home, grab a quick bite, get back on the phone, and she was toast. It was awful. And I just said, you got to have some fun. Well, folks, every once in a while, you got to change things up and have some fun. So don't just work all the time on finding work. All work and no play makes Jack or Jill boring, frustrated, like nothing matters to them. So have some fun as part of your search. Go to a movie one afternoon. Just get out of the house and have some fun instead of just hitting your head against the wall. You can also change things up in different ways. Like if you're working and then going home and trying to respond to ads, or responding to phone calls and emails all the time while doing your job. Sometimes you just have to schedule time in your day instead of doing it on an ad hoc basis. When we're lurching from thing to thing, sometimes it gets frustrating. So, change things up about how you do things. Appreciate the small successes. If your resume wasn't getting interviews, your LinkedIn profile wasn't getting views or responses, start recognizing that if you are getting views and responses, and if you are getting interviews, hey, you've made some progress. This is good. It may not be as much as you want, but appreciate the small things. The comments from interviewers that say, it's pretty good, or whatever it is they say that's going to cause you to feel good about what you've done. So start appreciating the small successes. Sometimes the issue is even applying to jobs that you're not qualified for and sending resumes out that don't demonstrate a fit. Start doing a better job of targeting your application or targeting your resume to fit the role, and stop trying to get promotions 3 steps up the food chain. What do you expect is going to happen? You're a programmer and applying for a project manager position or a C-level job. These firms are not on crack. They're not going to give you that chance. Stop going crazy and just applying to everything. And I must in all candor say, this has been driving me crazy recently. I get jobs, resumes from people who are security guards applying to jobs in IT security. And I'm using that as an illustration of the twain is nowhere near meeting except the word security is part of the title. If you don't know what it is, you're not qualified to do it. Trust me. So stop applying for jobs that you're not qualified for. It'll save you time and effort, and will just and stop wasting other people's time, and get you back on track applying to things and doing things that'll be more productive for you. Get back to the basics. Practice. So many people don't practice before their interviews, and you need to rehearse. You need to have some energy in your voice, because as you may have noticed, after a while the questions sound alike, and you don't want to sound like it's tedious, like you've been asked this question a million times. Interviewing is like theater. You have to make it seem like it's opening night every interview. So my encouragement is practice sounding like this is a new answer to a question. Like you've never heard this question before. Tell me about yourself. Oh, what a wonderful question. I've never heard this one before. Let me see if I can give a good answer to that one. Make it seem like you've never heard these questions, so you can deliver the answer like it's opening night for the stage. Um, Also want to remind you, and this is the more serious one, sometimes you need to see a therapist. Sometimes you need psychological counseling to help you get through these tough times. And I don't want to diminish any of these other things at all. And I certainly don't want to scare you by talking about seeing a therapist, but you may need support. There may be issues coming out in your interviews where your anger at being laid off or being passed over for a raise or promotion are leaking out in the interview. And a good therapist is going to pick up on things and give you an outlet to vent. Friends can only do so much, but after a while, you need the regularity of a therapist to work with you. Sometimes a good coach can help. Like I'm trained as a therapist, so I can do that kind of work as well as being a great recruiter and a terrific job search coach. But sometimes you need someone who's 100% dedicated to you as a therapy patient, and you need to have the courage to admit this isn't working and go to see a professional for advice. So please take the time to see a therapist, especially if there's now stuff going on in your family where your wife, husband, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend are sending you the message that you're depressed. They're telling you that they're seeing things in you that they've never seen before. That's a signal of depression. So get some therapeutic help. Now this show is a little bit shorter than the ones I normally do. I've got a busy morning ahead of me, so I've tried to do this in a concise way. I want to encourage you. I've got more content on my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. Go over to my website and go explore it. There's a lot there that you can learn from watching, listening to, or reading the content that I've developed. So again, thebiggamehunter.us. You can also search positions I'm recruiting for there. You can download copies of my books and guides to job hunting and pay what you want for them. I have suggested prices. They're all inexpensive. They will help many of you find work. I know they've helped thousands of people over the years. So again, download a copy of one of my books, pay what you want. I'd appreciate you paid something, but if right now you can't afford it, just download it and use it. A few final things. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, send me a connection request at linkedin.com/IN/the big game hunter. I accept connection requests from people worldwide, except if you're a spammer, except if you look like a scammer to me, except if you're a third-party recruiter. Also, follow my firm, which is called The Big Game Hunter Incorporated on LinkedIn. You'll get notices of whenever I do a new video there and new positions I'm recruiting for. So again, The Big Game Hunter Incorporated. Finally, as I mentioned on the show earlier, I do job search coaching. I've coached many people over the years, and I'd love to help you as well. So go over to my website, which again is The Big Game Hunter Incorporated. Find out about my coaching services. I'd love to help you. So I'm Jeff Altman, The Big Game Hunter. I hope you found this show helpful. I'll be back with more no BS job search advice next week. Take care.